Hey guys, so today we're going to do the tier list for the NAWCQ Genesys. And I know a lot of people are coming into Genesys for Nats, and they don't really keep up with Genesys that much, and that's fine. Hopefully this will help out them people, but the people that are going to play their pet decks, like, go for it. You know, that's kind of like the benefit of playing Genesys. You can play whatever you want. Well, not everything, but most of the decks you can play and have fun playing them. And you can always succeed with like every Genesys deck. But today I'm going to get into the more relevant decks of like the Chaos set and the battles, and just how the format's like looking for me right now in my testing. Obviously some of the stuff, like, I could be way wrong. You know, like I could put a deck in D and it wins the event just because there's something I don't know. But I firmly believe in some decks, and I obviously know that like a lot of these decks are going to be, the tier S decks are very visible. People can, even from the outside in, can look in and see that which decks are the best. So we're going to start out with the Sacred Beast deck. I think this deck is probably going to be a D tier deck. Kind of like what I just said. I don't think there's anything wrong with the deck. I thought it was really cool. Just the stuff it can do is very limited. Colossus is like a really good card for that deck, and Colossus is like 67 points. So like I don't really think Colossus is viable to play in Genesys. It can make like Ferudris, but like I said, maybe there's some combos I'm missing on the Sacred Beast. But from what I figured out and like what I was trying, I didn't see very much potential in it. And also they gave it points. So who knows? This Blitzkrieg deck, or Blitzkrieg, I really like this deck, and I think it might have some potential. It getting points kind of hurts because I was expecting them to like maybe miss a deck or two. Like, I didn't expect the points on the Sacred Beast stuff, I'm going to be honest. And then the Blitzkrieg, I thought that there would maybe be less points than what there was, or like maybe not even any points at all. Kind of just like what they did with RDA, which this deck and RDA are completely different. The RDA strategy is toxic. Go first, win. But I figured maybe they would like not give it any points. So let's get into the first S tier deck that I just was talking about. RDA, obviously. This deck's still an S tier deck in Genesys. If you win the dice roll, it's pretty much wraps. Yeah, there's not much to say about it. Even with the new points, it didn't really do that much. Say like Lost Salem, like, okay, you know, it's not that big of a deal. This deck, unfortunately, they massacred it. I didn't think that they would do it as dirty as they did. I thought the Ritual of Light and Dark deck would be like a good choice. I didn't really expect it to get that many points. Like, I mean, it got, like, we can go look at the list right here. Yeah, right here. Like, this is a lot of points for this deck. For it to not be like, the deck is good, don't get me wrong, but like, is it deserving of that many points? Probably not. That's my take on it. And then we'll go to, this is the Spring Ends branded Fairy pile deck. I think it's still possible even with the like points to like Orange Light and stuff. The Orange Light points are not a lot, so like I would say it's probably an A tier deck, and it'll probably get moved around in the A tier as we like go on, but that's just my first thought on the deck, is that it's an A tier deck. I mean, it was good last format and it'll be good this format. Like, Fallen of the White Dragon, just an insane card. Let's go Mimigul. I think this Mimigul deck's nice. Not gonna lie. I think this deck is crazy. Just being able to play Shifter and have an infinite room for non-engine. They gave it like 15 points. That's not enough. I think Mimical is really good, and it has like an inherent floodgate in their engine, which is the field spell that like not letting your opponent attack or normal summon while they have a face down monster that you always give them off of Mimical Room. So like I think the Mimical deck is really good. It's definitely not S tier, but I think the Mimical deck is very solid. Let's go the Clown Crew deck. I would say it is probably high B tier. I think what it does is cool. It draws some cards, but like at the end of the day, I just don't know what you're like drawing into because all the hand traps are a bunch of points. So like you have your one tribute, like you have your tribute summon, and that's like I don't know. Maybe I'm missing something, but I'm just not too impressed with the Clown Crew deck. And this is all my opinion, guys. Like, don't let me impact your decision on like what you're gonna play for Nats. Like, it's all you. Like, any Genesys deck can be good. Any Genesys deck can like win the event, like just out of nowhere. The Fairy Tale deck, I'm gonna give it S tier. I think it's probably better than the RDA deck, just because I think this deck can go second a little better. I don't think the RDA deck can go second at all, which is like crazy. Because it won the Columbus, the one that I got second at. I lost the dice roll and just couldn't stop him. Their engine is like super strong. But yeah, I think the Fairy Tale deck is a little better than the RDA deck. And then we'll go to another S tier deck, which is the Teir deck. This deck is obviously the best deck in the format. They didn't point it enough. On here they said, so 6, 36, 46. You could be anywhere from like 40 to 56 points, depending on your ratios. But like you could cut down on one of this, make it 40 if you play one Deltros. So you have 60 points to play non-engine, which is a lot. And like, I think they've done this really bad. Remember that this does not take the WCQs into account, so it's likely Constellar Tellarknights will go up. I don't know why we didn't just do that whenever they won the event. We like go back and edit the points, but it's what I probably would have done because this is not enough for this deck. This deck is super strong. It just has infinite extenders just that let you do whatever you want. It's a really hard deck to stop, to be honest. Going first, they just set up a crazy field, and then going second, they just have infinite extenders. Let's go with the hero deck, the hero slop decks. I think they're A, just because they can literally do whatever they want. They just combo forever and ever and ever, and like you got to put like 15 bricks in your deck. But like, that's okay. Because I think that's a good trade-off. As long as I'm not getting Cosmos Neos or whatever that card's called, I don't really care. But I think the deck is really solid. Favorite Contact's a broken card. Let's see. Phantom Knights, I think I'm going to put it in the B tier. I think this deck is really good. I was a little underestimated in like the strength it had. I figured it would be better with the new support, and I didn't figure they would point it either. Maybe I'm just very optimistic. I didn't figure they would point a lot of these cards, to be honest. And they pointed this deck into the dirt, kinda. I guess it's where Billy said that he wanted to play it, but I don't know. I think they've overpointed this deck. I think it could have been a really cool deck, but now they added a bunch of points to it, and I would say by the end of this, it'll be a lower tier B deck. Labyrinth, C. Dark Lords, I think this deck is still really good. The only problem it's ever had is it's just not consistent. But like, I think the strength of the deck and the like amount of non-engine it can play, broken. Like, I think this deck's insane. Let's do Monarchs. Monarchs is obviously going to be an A tier deck. This deck's so annoying. And like they just keep barely slapping it on the wrist. Erebus is so broken. Do Vanquish Soul. We'll put it in the B tier. I think this deck is still really good, even though it's in B. I just think it has really good matchups into the format, and it can play Shifter, so like that's an obvious plus. Can play on your opponent's first turn, not as often, but it still happens sometimes. So I think the deck is still viable, very viable. All these decks in B, very viable, and even don't let me like put my opinion onto you saying that like the decks in the C and D tier are not viable picks, because they still are. If they're like your favorite decks, your pet decks, I think you should play them, to be honest. But this is just kind of my opinion. The Shadal deck, don't think it's very good, to be honest. And then they even gave it points, so like I just don't think it's, I don't know, not a fan. I like Shadal cards, but let's see, Draco Tail cards. We're gonna put it here. I think it's just really hard. And then Invoke cards, we'll put all three of these here and see. I do think that there is probably a crazy pile of like fusion slop deck with the Invoke cards, the Draco Tail cards, and the Shadal cards, but maybe not the newer Shadal cards, but for sure like Doll Fusion, all of that. I'm putting the Invoke deck in C just because I tried it and I was like trying to find combos, and there was just like really no one card combo in the deck, which I like found pretty disappointing because the new cards I think are so good. And I figured they would be like a really good Genesys deck, but like not having links kind of hurts the deck a lot. I think it's still solid though, but that's just kind of my take on it. Do Memento. I'll put it here in B. I think this deck's really good. It just has a lot of points. That are, and it's limiting. And there's a lot of Shifter running around in the format, which Shifter hurts a lot of these decks, honestly. Like Shifter's the card of Genesys right now, to be honest. That card's just insane. Mermail, just puts a tear to mouth. I don't know if it goes in C or D. I think we'll put it in C. I think it might be it and Labyrinth are pretty close. I would say bottom of C tier. Neptibus is just a lot of points. Dragoon's a lot of points, and there's Shifter in the format. So like obviously those all three influence the deck's like potential. Predaplant, this deck is really good actually. I really like this deck. The TCG exclusive's broken. The TCG exclusive's broken. Just letting you dump every, like whatever, Billisp or whatever the Predaplant guy is. There's a lot of one-card starters. There's a lot of cool combos. And setting Super Poly's pretty broken in Genesys. Any deck that can set Super Poly, just like this hero deck, like one version of it can set Super Poly. It's a really good interruption, like really good for Genesys. Fire Kings, this deck is a C tier deck. This deck is really good though. Don't let me underestimate that, because Fire Kings is still a solid deck. Like, don't get me wrong. The Call of the Haunted deck, I would say it's probably here. I think it struggles with the MST deck, which we're about to talk about next. But I don't think it's a bad choice. I think this deck is pretty solid. It might be better than Fire Kings, to be honest. Yeah, I would say so. But I think it's a really good choice no matter what. And then, you know, Radiant Typhoon. It's definitely S A tier. Top of A tier, I would say Mimigol and Radiant are probably like neck and neck. Yeah, it just got more points off Corsair, but the deck has decent matchups into everything still. I mean, but it's definitely not as strong as these three decks. These three decks are very... I would actually say all three of these decks, like Monarch, Mimigul, and Radiant, are probably the three A tier decks, and then these two would be closer to like a B, top of B tier deck. This is like my opinion on the situation. And then these two were supposed to go together. I just didn't know how to do it. I'm not very technologically advanced, I guess. The Elf Note and the like Cool Tune deck. I think these are okay. Yeah, I don't know. It's okay. Exo Sister, it can play Shifter, so it automatically gets a low B to high C. I think it's probably here, I would say. I think Exo Sister's a good deck. Like, I don't think there's anything wrong with Exo Sister. It could possibly go up here. Shifter just carries so much weight, to be honest. The White Forest cards, we will put it probably here. I think the deck's really good. Has some issues. Shifter hurts it a lot. It's kind of like a going first deck. It's very similar to RDA. So like the deck is super strong when it goes first, right? But then whenever it goes second, it struggles. It has a lot of struggles to crack a board and like play through interruptions. So like that's why I can't rank that deck higher. I probably wouldn't even rate RDA that high if I didn't lose to it in the finals, but yeah, I don't know. I think RDA is a good deck, but I'm not sure if it's on the same power level as these two, honestly. It just needs to win the dice roll. If it wins the dice roll, it's like here. But if it doesn't win the dice roll, it's like here somewhere. I would probably still leave it in S tier, actually, now that I'm thinking about it. Then this is the Hecka Hands Chimera deck. I would give it a solid B tier. I think it's probably maybe a little better than the Clown Crew deck. Maybe Vanquish Soul is possibly a little bit better than Blitzclick now that I'm thinking about it. I think this deck is really solid. I think a lot of people are like kind of sleeping on it and like not playing the deck. But I think it's a very solid deck to play. If I was looking for a deck to play at the NAWCQ, that would definitely be one of the options I would choose to look into. The Magnet Warrior deck, I think it's okay. I don't think it's that crazy. It and PK are probably like tied, I would assume. The Exo Sister deck just is so hard for me to like judge solely because of the fact that it just has Shifter. Like, it's just a really good Shifter deck. I don't know. Now that I'm looking back at it, yeah, I would say Magnet Warrior could like be back and forth with these two for sure. I think you're just like losing Nat Beast. You can't play Nat Beast in the deck. It's free is the only plus side. So like I think that could be a... Well, it's not free anymore, but it's basically free. But I think it's definitely in the B tier for sure. Sword Soul, probably C tier. This deck's pretty decent. I don't really know how the points affected it. I honestly haven't tried Sword Soul out, but I would say if the deck is playable now, I'm sure it's probably C tier. I don't know if it belongs there, but the Doomsday like slop pile deck, I would say it's probably high B tier. It's probably right up here next to the hero deck. I know some things are going to change in this deck, but I'm not the biggest fan of it. I think there's a lot of kaijus, a lot of lava golems. I think there's a lot of breakers that are going around that are just not very good for this deck. And then we have Lunalight, which is probably has to be better than Mermail, I would say. The only problem with this deck, it's good. I mean, it's really good. But just there's Shifter in the format, which hurts it. And then there's a bunch of kaijus. Everybody has kaijus in their deck, and you can only play one Liger Dancer. So, like, you're not going to make two Liger Dancers. So, like, game 1, you're fine. Game 2 and 3, you're going to have an even harder time of winning, I think. I think it'll be a big challenge for you if you decide to show up with Lunalight. Down here, Centurion. I think this deck is probably here. Maybe here. And then this is like the worst deck in Genesys. I'm sorry if this is about to hurt somebody's feelings, but this Trickstar Reincarnation Runic deck is like the worst possible deck I think I've ever seen in my life. Like, I don't know why so many people play this deck, because it's terrible. Like, it does nothing. Literally ends on 0 interruptions. Banish my hand. I draw six new cards. Okay. You do it again. Okay, I banish my hand. I draw 6 new cards. And then I kill you because you ended on nothing. Maybe an imperm. Like a freezing curses or something. But yeah, I think that deck's awful. I don't know. I think it's probably like the worst deck, but everybody plays it all the time on DB. Sorry if I hurt anybody's feelings, but I think the deck is just abysmal. This deck is very interesting because I think it could still be good. Like, it could possibly be high C. Even though, if we go over here to the points list, let's see. So they got 1 point here on this guy that burns 500 each time your opponent activates a monster effect, which is fine. The 1 point does nothing. But Glitch Clutch Null Gainer got 10 points. Kind of relevant. And then it gets even worse because the card that Glitch searches got 33 points, which is very rough because this card is like really good. This card is like very, very good. Like, this card is like, me and my buddy Huddleston, we literally thought to each other, like, whenever they first announced the cards, we were like, oh my god, this is going to be the most broken Genesys deck ever. Like, it has a trap that you can activate whenever you go second. Like, oh man, we were so excited. And then, like, they announced the cards the other day, and it was like special summon to the extra monster zone, and we were like, wow. Made it unplayable, made the trap unplayable in Genesys. I still think that there's probably a way that you could make the deck work, and it would probably be really solid. You just have to find a good level 8 synchro, like, engine to make the null gainer card, so you can search the Witness of the Ancient. I don't know. I'm interested in the deck still. Like, I think there's a lot of potential to be had in the deck. I just don't exactly know how it would work, but I'm interested. Alright, so let's go over the points just a little quickly. Like, Constellar Caster, 6 points. I think we already talked about that. Signian, 6 points. Deltros, 6 points. So, like, not that many points. Doesn't take the WCQs into account. Shouldn't be like that, unfortunately. Shadal, the new Shadal fusion card, 10 points. Void Unleashing 10 points. I don't think these cards should have got pointed at all, because on my tier list, I even put this in like a C tier, but I'm just not very impressed with it. If your deck can beat Winda, like, it's looking rough for the stall player. Like, Master Hero Fountain, I'm kind of glad about that. The hero cards. Hero's just a big combo slop deck. Overtuning, very glad about this. RDA needed something, like we couldn't just give them a free card. I'm very glad this card at least got 10 points. This is brutal, so brutal. I mean, just pretty much wiped the deck out of like contingency for the NAWCQ. I can't believe these cards got hit and like given points. The invoke cards, I just don't think that they were good enough to get points, if that makes sense. And then them getting points made it even worse. But maybe I'm wrong. Maybe they knew something I didn't know, but that's just my opinion. Same thing with the Phantomite cards. I figured these cards would be free, and like them giving them points just obviously changed my mind a lot on like if I should keep trying to mess around with the deck or not. But yeah, I figured these cards would also be free. Maybe I'm just super optimistic. That's just my thing, I guess, because these points on this just don't make sense to me. These points are probably fine. I wish it wasn't as many as it is, because like this is 15, 12, 12, so 24, 39 points just right off the rip. These don't matter at all. 1 point's fine. And then we talked about Glitch and the Witness of the Ancient. Those are like the two really relevant cards. The 3 Champions of Sword Soul, 10 points is fine. And then Pot of Sloth is pretty interesting. I just don't know who's going to put 30 points in their side deck for going second. That just seems like a lot. Like, you have to play a free deck. So, like, I'm just not too impressed with it, to be honest. This card's broken, though, so I'm glad it at least got points. Trust me, I'm very glad it got points. But alright, well, that's the video.